Hi everyone, this is April Cox and we're here today with Misty Black, and we are looking at Publisher Rocket with a goal of recording categories and trying to locate the best possible categories for her book. So we're just going to record this meeting so that others who are looking to do the same have a little guidance about how best to do that. So thank you, Misty, for sharing this experience with us.
Thank you.
So your book is a gift book for people that are ill in the hospital. It's a get well kind of book. So we started looking at the types of different words and searches here on Publisher Rocket. So I'm just gonna, I'm copying anything that looks like it might give us an opportunity to rank well. And the way that Publisher Rocket shows this is sales to number one. That's the one that I'm really interested in. Like, I would need to have 243 sales in order to get to number one. So sales to get to number 25 would be 15. So if you can sell at least 15, you'll be on page one, but you won't be at the top of page one until you get here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say 15-243. So in our little mind map that we've been going in and grabbing the list of categories, I'm just going to make a note, 15 to 243. So that's those are the numbers you need to get on page one. I'm going to go back to Publisher Rocket, and Misty, just jump in if you have any ideas, but I just want to go to the category search at the beginning just to show people where we started.
Okay.
So in Publisher Rocket, there is a category search, and you can choose ebook or regular book. And I would recommend that we do both. Like, we are going to want to make sure that we rank well in the book and that the ebook also ranks well. So we're going to look at both, you know, as we finish the book categories, we're probably going to want to go and get the similar categories for the ebook.
So you are going to want to use the same categories. You wouldn't want to use different ones just to see which ones are working better?
Well, sometimes when we come up with the ebook categories, it's going to be different. It's going to, you know, have different numbers. So the top 10 categories might be different for ebook than they are for the regular book. So yes, we will definitely do the same thing on the ebook side.
Okay.
So Rocket pulls back the list of categories at the high level and allows you to go deeper into the categories, but it also has a search feature. Let's see, category search. I just did that. All right, so we started by going into children's books. And so, as you know, with Amazon, there's a number of different categories under children's books. And so what this does is it loads every single category. And you could just scroll through them, or you can use this search. So we talk about illness. So if we want to look at illness, this is the one we came to. Disease. So we have, here's one we'll want to put as a category for Misty, and if they have 12 sales to 233 sales, they'll be on page one. 12 is number 25 on page one. 233 is number one. So there's a lot of variation, and the better that we can dig deep into the categories and get the really niche categories, the least amount of searches that you'll need in order, sales that you'll need in order to rank number one. I've found some categories that you need one sale or two sales to be on page one, and as little as 8 to be number one on page one. But those are really niche categories. So that's our goal, is to find those categories that best fit for Misty's book, and also will give her the best possible chance to having that bestseller ranking when she launches her book. So I'm going to just copy this here, and I'm going to remember 12 to 233, and I'm just going to throw that onto here. And at first it's just brainstorming, right? Just going in and looking at what categories are out there. Through here, you can also look through Amazon. I'll show you just another. Misty, do you remember the name of that book you mentioned that was a really good a good selling one? It was it Bear, something about a bear.
Care for a very sick bear.
How to care for a very sick bear. So we had in other analysis, we had found that this book was really good as far as a bestseller, and it was very similar, like a competitor that she would want to potentially look at keywords and categories because it'll be very similar. So this is a good book that helps guide us. Now, when we look down at the categories that this book is ranked in, that's how we got, I think, led onto this children's disease books. And this is one that I'm not sure, Misty, if you would want to try to categorize or would want us to take a look at this one, the ebooks, the disabilities and special needs.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Let's look at what's going on in children's.
Before, she was at a much higher seller rank, but she was a new release. Is that just what happened? Is this
what happens? Like sometimes if people aren't really focusing on the campaign and more, long-sighted, not short-sighted, it just drops down.
Okay.
So as
maybe that's not a very good analogy one to analyze anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, but one of the things that happens, like we just clicked on the category, and what we see here on the left side is a number of different categories like underneath you. So we see kind of how it breaks down. So the growing up and facts of life, there's a health one, and then diseases. There's that overall category of health. And the more niche we can get below those upper level categories, the better. I don't think any of these others, although diet and nutrition, I don't know if that would make sense here. Probably not, huh?
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. So I'm kind of navigating the categories to see if anything else jumps out at us. I like the idea of searching for the word health. So a lot of this is just, trial and error, thinking about what are the different niches or different ideas based on other books that might be similar. So we already have this one, the diseases. What about something like this?
Yeah.
This is num 11, so that's not too bad. Maturing. So here's another thing. When I think about this, I think about as we get older, people might be in nursing homes or rehabilitation facilities. Like I have a stepfather who gets sick, has to go into a facility for a little while. He does rehab and then he goes back home with my mom. So I'm wondering if this, if that type of thing could also potentially, and this is a minimum of 6 books to end up on page 1 to 175. What do you think? Do you think it's too much of a stretch? Okay, so I'm gonna do
I mean, we could always put it in. I think that's a good idea.
6 to 175. Let's do that.
Some of the other ones that we had looked at before I wrote down were healing, mental health, addiction and recovery, Diseases and physical ailments.
Okay, hold on and let me grab these couple that I have here, and then we can grab those two. So we've got diseases. Do we want to do daily activities?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's 11 to 420. So just while I'm doing this, one of the things that you should know is that even though in the Kindle, in the KDP setup, it shows only a couple of categories that you can choose from, you have the opportunity to select 10 categories for your print book, 10 categories for your Kindle. So in all, you'll be listed in 20 different categories. The way to do that is to email Amazon and give them the ASIN number and the additional categories that you want to be added to, and they will go ahead and do that. So the other, tell me again what the category was that you were
So there was healing.
healing. Healing. Healing is not in children's books, but I bet if we back up out of children's books and go into a different area, it's probably it's. Do you know what the pathway was for that?
Books, health, fitness, and dieting, alternative medicine books.
Ah, that's great. So maybe we should back up out of children's books for a little bit and go and check out those other categories. So here I'm going to go back to book, to the higher level, and we said it is health, fitness, and dieting. So we're going to have the opportunity to go through this. It just takes a second for it to come up. Okay, mental health, pathology, stress disorder. What was the
Oh, sorry. I don't know if this is the path, but I had written down health and fitness, dieting, alternative medicine books.
alternative?
Oh, there we go. And then healing.
Okay, so alternative medicine. So it's 29 books to 271. This one here, naturopathy and holistic medicine. These look also promising. Energy healing. Would you say that all of these here could be used for your book, Misty?
So my book doesn't specify any healing paths. It doesn't specify any diseases. It doesn't even say the word sick. I wanted it to be for mental health, for sadness, for, I mean, anything really. So I think any of it could.
Okay. So let's grab this. This is 11 to, whoops. Oh wow, we have a lot more under here too. You
Chinese
know what I'm
medicine.
gonna do? Let me see if I can. It doesn't allow me to sort by a certain number, but I didn't realize we had all these others here. So here's an example of a really niche, some really niche categories, and I think we brought homeopathy, the alternative medicine homeopathy, because all you needed was 3 sales to 29 sales to rank on page 1. So 29 or more, and you are number 1 in that. So let's look at these. One, I don't know if any of these would be hypnotherapy, alternative medicine. Why not?
I
Unless
don't
you,
even know what that is. You know what hypnotherapy is?
so it's another alternative medicine. So for example, if people have chronic pain, they might go to a hypnotherapist, which who will try to help them, but through hypnosis to
Oh,
to manage their pain.
okay. That makes sense.
So what do you think? I mean, this looks like a good niche category. If as long as you feel like it applies. So I will take us a minute to get on a soapbox. I've seen some books out there that have the bestseller ranking, and I look at the category that they're ranked in, and it is completely different. Like there's no way that that book even goes in that category. And yet they found something like this and they said, oh, I can rank high. It doesn't matter to them whether or not it goes with their book. And that to me, I don't subscribe to that method. So I feel like it has to apply. And in this case, I think any alternative medicine and anybody who is into alternative medicine is typically doing so because they have an illness. Your book is for people that have an illness, you know, a gift book for those people from their loved ones. So to me, I think this really applies. And so I would be more than happy to see your book in that category.
So I think we definitely should write this down. Here's another thought, though, is the people that are looking in the alternative medicine hypnotherapy category are probably looking for books to help themselves. Would they necessarily buy this gift book? You know what I mean?
They might not, but
Or
at
are we
least,
looking at
yeah,
people?
I mean, it's very, if they're looking in that category, they're looking for answers and ideas. However, so even though they might look at it and go, oh, you know, that's not exactly what I was looking for, they won't say that does not belong here.
Right, you're right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that's kind of like the litmus test that I use is, you know, are people going to be put off by it? Um, at one book I was looking at, um, you know, it was a really sweet children's book, and it was in disaster preparedness or something, and I was like, really? Disaster preparedness? Does this have to do with disaster preparedness?
Yeah,
So
I
it,
do stuff like that too. I know exactly what you're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, and so yeah, I just, especially because there are authors I work with who have books targeted specifically for disaster preparedness. And I'm like, wow, how are we, you know, how is that right? But sorry, I'll get off my soapbox and we'll just keep going. So this is good, 1 to 8, but let's go back and grab some of these other categories. So then what I do, right? I see this is only one sale, and that's number 1. So I'm going to put that up there, and I can pretty much guarantee you're going to get one sale on your book launch, right? So
Maybe. We'll see.
you'll probably get more than 8. So
Hopefully we'll have 8.
so to me, this tells me that you're going to have a best-selling launch.
Okay.
And then we have to keep you there, right? So we're going to look, but let's look for more categories. This is 11. So I'm just going to kind of drag things around because we are going to want to pick only 10 categories. Oops, come on, get up there. We're going to pick 10 categories, and we want them to be the best 10 categories that we can use. And this is not a one and done type of thing. There are always new categories being introduced. There are new books being introduced. So all of a sudden, you know, where you could, let's just use disaster preparedness for as an example. All of a sudden, people find this gold um, category. Now all of a sudden a ton of other books are popping into that category. All of a sudden it's not the best out of 10 categories.
Right.
So you will want to do some additional analysis from time to time just to make sure that you're still in a place that makes sense. So let's see, we've got hypnotherapy. I don't know if you want to do the reference books, you know, should it be with the reference books? It's up to you. We could certainly put it out there and then consider it. Um, Come on, where are you? So this is 1 to 12. Let's see.
So as a reference book, like a health reference book, is that what those are talking about?
I think I think you're right. What I would end up doing probably is checking out what else is in that category, just to see whether or not if it's going to stick out and be off-putting or it doesn't feel right, then you may not want to use it. But at least we'll put it there to be considered along with some of these others.
Okay.
All right, hypnotherapy reference. This is
Feel
I
like
don't
she's
Yeah, this is another alternative medicine. And so I think we should take this, we should take this, we should take this.
It says chelation is an antidote for poisoning by mercury.
Mhm. So, I mean, it's a niche category, but I think still those people would need a get well book.
Right, they certainly would.
It applies, and it's okay if it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
You know, like for example, on my dog book, right, my puppy pickup day, there's frogs. There's a frog on the front cover, and this little frog follows the journey along the way, and he at the end of the book gets adopted along with the puppy. So I put my book in the frog books as well in that category.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, is it a frog book? Not really, but kind of. So I mean, it's a stretch in some ways as well. And that's okay with me. So 1 to 12. I just want to make sure I've got that right. 1 to 12, 1 to 12, 1 to 12. Where did we go? Oh, here we are. 1 to 12. So at first, when we started looking for categories in the children's books area, I was looking at all of the, you know, look at how it was 15 to 240, 590, and then all of a sudden we hit this golden spot of, you know, illness, the area of health, fitness, and dieting, and this wealth of information opens. So don't be afraid to look around in other areas and really delve into different sections. And again, we found this little niche over here by finding on Amazon some books that might apply or be similar to yours. Chances are the bestsellers have found those niche categories that are helping them be a bestseller. So don't be afraid to dig in and see what it is that they're using. Let's see, this is 1 to 13.
So all of these that are 1 to 8, 1 to 13, 1 to 12, if I'm in all of those categories and I sell 13 books, am I going to be a bestseller in all 4 categories, or do they
Yes.
just one? Okay.
All 4. Yep, you will be in all 4. So that's pretty fantastic to find categories like this. All right, so back here, and I think we've still got homeopathy,
Mm-hmm.
and this is 3 to 29. So at some point we might say, let's not grab anything that is not at least, you know, this ranking or better. This 3. So these down at the bottom, we probably just want to delete them and say, nope, they're not going to be top 10 categories.
Can we keep them up just for later if we want
Yep,
to?
yep, we can leave them. And then the other thing is another reason why we might want to even add some of these as categories, even if they're not going to get you to bestseller, if we want to have something in children's books, right? As
Right.
well as something in health and fitness, something in, you know, and if there's another area where these types of books should be categorized, you may decide to take some of your top ranking categories and swap them out for things so that you can have a good spread of different types of categories for your books.
Agreed.
Okay.
I
So,
mean, I really think that the children's books growing up, facts of life, illness, and disease are like the perfect category for it. So even though they're a little bit higher.
right. Yeah, so I'm looking at some of these, like this here, the healing one. I think we already took that one, but you know, 29 to 271. It certainly is a really well-suited category, as are some of these others. But I took the best of these already and put them into our category list. So is there anything else here that you want to make sure we grab and throw in our list?
No, I think you got the best ones. And there's other categories like mental health.
Okay, let's look for mental health. Oh, there we go. So see how easy it is. I mean, the thing that I wish was better on Publisher Rocket is I wish we didn't have to choose a top level category first. I wish that this search would just go into all of the categories so that we could see best case scenario. But you have to go into a niche first, and then you can search. So just be aware of that. And if you don't have Publisher Rocket, you are still able to do the kind of research that I mentioned. So let's just do Get Well Soon book. So you find one. This says Get Well Soon. Oh no, Heroes Who Fought. That's not necessarily. Uh, okay. So this looks like, something that would be maybe a Get Well Soon book, maybe not. Teen and adult mental illness. These are fiction books. So maybe not. But so, finding here's a Get Well Soon ABC book. Is that more in line? So we can look at, where do these, so here's children's disease books. So we can play around, and then all of a sudden it opens this whole area so you can see diseases, health, um, and other areas where you can go back and kind of play around in the different categories and find one that makes sense. And there is also Dave Chasson, Chesson. Dave Chasson has shared a free calculator. Like this wouldn't give you how many sales you need to get to the for this category. However, his calculator, hold on, Dave, oops, I'm going to just do Google real quick. I just want to take 1 minute out here, Misty, and give people who don't have the tool or don't have access to it a way that they can. Dave Chesson calculator. Amazon sales rank calculator. Oh, nope, that's not it. Sorry. How to find profitable book ideas, book sales. Find your profitable niche. That's it. So there's a calculator that goes with this. Um, no, this is, sorry. I'm sure I have it saved for Dave. I'll share it. I thought I would be able to get to it pretty simply with just a simple search. But anyway, what Dave does is he has a calculator that's free on his website. Kindlepreneur. There we go. So his Kindlepreneur website has a ton of really fantastic free resources. And one of them is a calculator where you can put the bestseller rank of of the number one book in the category, and then the best-selling rank uh, of the number 20 in that category, and it will tell you how many books you need to sell in that category in order to rank. Let's see. Find category. Choose the right book categories. Yep, this is it. So what you do is you go to, within the description of the book that's in that category in number 1 position, you would find the sales rank. Same thing with number 20. And if I can find the darn calculator, you just plug it into this calculator and it tells you, here we go, Kindle best-selling calculator. Sheesh, it's about time. So it wants me, Kindle best-selling calculator. Click here. All right, so if we say in position number 1 is 24101, then they're selling 9 books a day. So if they are in book, if when we look at the bestseller, so here's a category, for example, Harry Potter. I'm going to go to the number 1 book in this category. Do I really want to target this category? I'm going to go to the number 1 book. I'm going to scroll down to what its bestseller rank is, number 14. So we know Harry Potter is really popular. So if I say number 14 in this category in books, and I click that, they're selling 932 books a day to get to number 1. So it gives you a sense of, the range of what you would need to sell to get to number 1 in this category. You can also look at number 20 book.
Is that in categories or is that overall? Because I don't see, how do you tell this calculator what category it's in?
It doesn't matter the category that it's in. It's going to matter. So when I say, you're choosing this category, remember what we were doing with his tool, because this is the tool that we're looking at, the Kindle, hold on, this tool here, Publisher Rocket, is from that same individual. He's the one that puts this tool out, but he also shows you, if you can't afford the tool or you want to learn how to do it yourself. So as we're trying to find the right category, the important thing is, what does the number 1 selling book in that category, how many books do they sell? So you can figure this out using his calculator by just putting plugging in the bestseller rate of that book. And it's going to tell you how many they're selling. It's overall the sales based on their selling in the overall book category or overall Kindle category. So it figures out based on current activity and sales and that particular ranking how many books that individual title sells in order to be ranked the way that it is. So you can do the same thing. You can then go to number 25 in that category and see how many books do they sell by just putting so you can kind of do this poking around in different categories, and you can figure it out using his calculator. But this sure does make it a lot easier to just go through and be able to look at it here. Oh, this is different. What do you think about this?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I like that.
Yeah, 1 sale to 60.
Even just mental illness too. That one's not too bad, and I think it's fits very well there.
Okay.
The bipolar even. Is that the last one? The bipolar?
Hold on, I'm just going to, while I have this one, I want to drop it into here. This was 1 to, was it 49?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
Okay, let's just look one more time. 1 to 60. Okay, and bipolar was 6. Oh, here's another one that has just 1. Dissociative disorder. So I guess part of it is, in this mental health niche, are people buying get well cards for them? I guess so. If they have to be hospitalized because of a mental illness, then they may, still be in need of get well kind of a gift.
Mhm.
So this one, it looks like the next best, and then 7 and 9. Compulsive behavior, I don't know. Um, let's do this one. Dissociative, 1 to 76. I don't think we had any trouble coming up with your categories, Misty.
Yeah, I think we got some good ones.
And we also, if you think about it, we also have different keywords to think about just as a result of some of these books.
Mhm.
So, for example, let me just copy this last category in that we just looked at. I think we've got number 7. There was one that had 7. Here it is. This looks like a really good niche category as well, 7 to 55.
Yeah.
So we'll put that there. And if you're setting up your KDP, um, you can, you've already got an ASIN assigned to it, right?
I don't think so. I haven't uploaded anything yet.
Oh, okay. We can take a look at it if you'd like, and I can stop the recording for the category purposes, and we can take a look at your book. But when you're setting it up, I believe it gets an ID assigned pretty quickly. And then once that ID is assigned, you'll be able to reach out to Amazon and ask them to put it into these additional categories, so that you'll have a lot of this already covered when you upload and you're ready to go.
Okay.
Because sometimes it takes a good week before you see these things appear in the appropriate categories. So it can't hurt to get a jump on it as soon as you have something to upload. All right, so let's see what we came up with. And it did take us a little while to walk through it, but here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13. So I think we're good. We've got 13 categories here, and yeah, we could continue going if we wanted to. But I think we're good with categories. And now what I would do is, as you're looking at the different categories, start to look at the books that appear at the top of those categories and see if there's anything that we might want to consider for keywords. So let's take an example of, I think you liked this category here, right? The mental illness category. So let's do books, health and fitness, dieting. Let me go in here. And let's see. Let's just do this first. Mental illness books. Okay. If you see anything, so do you think any of these types of books would lend any kind of keywords? The necessity for faith and authority. Let's see.
I'm not seeing anything yet that I.
The mental codes. Hmm. So we could, basically we would look around at some of these different areas. Let's see. Mental health. wellness. Switch on your brain.
So where would I, if I just go, okay.
So if we wanted to talk, to see some of the like um, mental wellness and that type of health books and see what kind of keywords, let's just say mindfulness and mind, body, soul kind of things was something that we think, well, gee, it could be kind of an alternative or a similar people that are into mindfulness could also appreciate a book like mine. Then we could go in here and we could look for this ASIN and do that reverse lookup so that we could see all of the keywords that this particular book, for example, is being indexed for, and it might give us some keyword ideas. Do you know what I mean? So we had
Yeah.
that huge list of keywords here, of categories. And as we look at some of the best sellers in that category, we might get some ideas, for example. So homeopathy, let's just look and see. And it might take a little digging to really homeopathy.
So I'm looking on another path with the children's books and the life. I'm gonna see
Okay,
that if that's okay.
sure. Prescription for nutritional healing. Drug. So these are, for people that are into alternative healing, the healing echo. So people these are probably some of the books that would be at the top of, here's holistic medicine, health, mind, and body, healing. So it's 23 in healing. So if I click on that healing category, we see the number one is celery juice or liver rescue, or so, if it made sense to dig further into these categories and see, what kind of keywords, then we could take this, for example, and use the ASIN here and get what are all the list of keywords that these guys are ranking for. So you said you have another category you want to look at?
So I just looked at children's books, Growing Up Facts of Life and Health, and I'm just looking in there.
Okay.
The Care and Keeping of You.
Children's books. Facts of life.
Listening to My Body is a bestseller. I Don't Want to Sleep.
So here's one that this we thought this was a really good category. Um, Growing up, facts of life, difficult decisions, illness. So if we click check it out, it'll bring us to that category. I totally forgot about that. I didn't have to be doing searches. So SpongeBob Goes to the Doctor is number one in that category. So if
that is very relevant.
So it's very relevant. So let's go into it and see. This bestseller badge is what we want you to have. Number one bestseller in, so this right now this says children's marine life stories, but it's also bestseller in this category. And what I will do here is get the ASIN from here. And I'm going to pull up a tool that I like to use called Helium, which does that reverse search. I'm going to launch this. And I do have other recordings where I talk about helium and um, different pieces of this. So if you haven't seen that and you're interested, I'll have a link to it. So now this is the ASIN. I'm going to do get keywords. So it basically does a reverse search, and it will tell us all of the keywords that this particular product is ranked for. It also gives us so it's got 77 keywords it's ranked for. 17 of them are organic, and 62 are Amazon recommended. I'm not quite sure what the difference is in that. I guess I gotta dig a little further. It also gives us word frequencies. Sometimes you can see in these word clouds, keywords will jump out at us. So doctor, for example, children, doctor.
Hospital. Or that's probably not there.
What's that?
I was just thinking hospital.
Hospital. Right. So sometimes I'm like, oh, wow, doctor, why didn't we think of that? Right. So I'm just going to go and add that to our list of potential keywords. Potential. So doctor, hospital, and we can dig further into some of these later. So here we've got 77, and here are the keywords that it's ranking for. So on the right, it shows the current rank for these words. So prime reading, SpongeBob book. I'm surprised that it's so low with ranking for something like SpongeBob book, which is really what what this explains what this book really is. 7 steps to health. I don't know whether that's a keyword phrase that we should look at. So if we go here, we see the search volume is 176. It's really kind of low for search volume. Let's see. I want to see, let me just look for the high search volume words. So I'm going to click on this and just order it by that. Children's book, picture book, books for children. Okay, so these really don't have anything to do with illness yet. Here we go. Doctor book for kids. Yeah, 268 searches a month. I guess it's something that we could use or we could think about. But I
think it's relevant. I mean,
all right, so let me throw it in there. It's just that it doesn't have that many searches, so it's probably not the best keyword for.
But you don't have a limit on the number of keywords you can use in your ads, right? You can use 1,000 per ad, but you don't have a limit on ads, right?
Yeah, the limitation comes from your 7 keywords. So
I want to use it for one of my 7 organic keywords, but
right, yeah. So that's a good kind of description when you're looking at for those 7 gold keywords where you really want them to be high search volume. You want the least amount of competition possible. You want to see green lights all over when you're doing the analysis. But yeah, doctor book for kids, you can, as you saw, I mean, it gives you like 250 searches. It's not rated as high because of the fact that there's competition for it. So that's why this IQ score, this score here where it ranks how good this keyword is, the higher this score, the better the keyword. Look at this one, for example, Sick Simon. That's probably the name of another book. And this one is ranking organically for that book, but it's ranked pretty high, meaning there's a decent amount of searches and not a lot of ranking for it. There's not a lot of competition. It says if you sell 8 books in 8 days, whoops, sorry. This column here, the CPR 8-day giveaways for this tool, what that means is in 8 days, you want to sell 8 books in order to rank on this number 1 for this search, not number 1, on the first page for this search term. So that's a
Sure.
good one. So Sick Simon is a good one. And if I wanted to say, what the heck is Sick Simon, I can just open this. I'm just going to do it in a new tab. It's probably a book. Maybe Sick Simon. Here we go. Maybe Sick Simon, and analyzing that book gives us even more keywords. Children's manners books. I don't know, maybe there's something going on in this book that has issues with manners. I don't know. But it is also in children's disease books and things like that. It's not a really high ranking book. So when I look at this, initially I said, oh, maybe we should look at the keywords, but to be honest, it's not ranking very well. So it's probably not doing a very good job with its own keywords. So it's not necessarily something we have to dig into.
Sure.
But as I mentioned, it does give us another keyword that has about 250 searches a month. Sick Simon. Okay. Let's see what else, if there's anything more that we can. Doctor book we saw, and it's ranked very low from because of all the competition that we would have.
Mm-hmm.
7 Steps to Health, nah, not really that great either. See, the search volume starts getting lower and lower.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the other tools that I like to use is the keyword research here. So I'm going to just put in some of the keywords. Illness, surgery, recovery from surgery. So if you get some decent keywords and you want to get some related keywords, this tool, which is part of Helium 10, is great. And then I can also show Dave Chasson's tool and how that also does similar. So hip surgery recovery kit. These, things like this. Look at this, what a great ranking that is. Search volume, 1,037 per month. And wow, that's a really good keyword. I'm going to add that in. So sometimes it's just about playing around and figuring out what are some of the really good opportunities. Just like I didn't know I was going to find that in looking at this specific book and its keyword terms. But it's awesome to be able to click in and see. It gives me some really good ideas. Knee surgery recovery kit. So here's another one that looks good. It's got 477 searches. Oh, hip surgery recovery kit is another. So we've got a whole, surgery recovery being part of the things that we researched, Misty. Hip replacement surgery. Let's see.
Hip kit. Oh, that one doesn't have.
Yeah.
Score.
Hip kit. 4,000 searches a month. Is that me or you beeping?
That's me, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. I just want to make sure it wasn't something like on my computer that was messing me up. Hip kit for total hip replacement. See how that's like a slightly different term, but yet it has lots of potential as far as the volume of search is 1,685. I'm going to just sort by, I'm going to copy this first. I'm going to sort by search volume. So basically what these keywords are going to do is anybody that's searching that has somebody that had surgery or is looking for surgery um, information, now they're going to find, if you rank for that keyword, they'll find your Get Well book, which, it could hit them at exactly the right time. Look at this, grabber reacher tool.
Yeah.
Like who would have thought of that? And yet it's perfect because people that can't stretch or reach up could be recovering from surgery. And yet look at this, 17,000 searches a month. Now, what you might find if we use it as one of your keywords, you might find that people don't really click through. They look at it and it's just not relevant for them. So if you find that, then you can just remove the keyword. But who knows how it's going to perform until we try it.
So when you put in a keyword into your ads, it tells you by keyword which ones have been clicked on and which ones have had sales because of those clicks.
Yes. Would you like me to show that to you based on my ads?
Sure. So you can look at the ones that have high clicks and no or low sales and say we're getting rid of those.
Yeah, I can show you a little bit of what I do with my analysis, and in some cases I let it go because we don't have enough data yet. So you want to make sure you leave it there for a little while, and don't bail on it too soon, because all of a sudden you might get 2 or 3 sales, one on top of another, and it might end up being a really great keyword, and so you don't want to bail on it too soon. But you can see, I'll show you like what I do to find better, continue to dig further on keywords and continue keyword analysis. So this is an initial analysis. I'm going to stop here for a second and switch gears slightly. And I'm going to go into AMS. And I am going to switch over to Best Fairy Books. I've been doing some work with Bobby's books for a little while, and just recently really started pulling some of this together. Let me just go from Advantage. Come on. Okay. Okay. So what I have here is Best Fairy Books, Bobby's account. How to do all campaigns. This might be too new. All right. So this is the sponsored brand ad. I don't know that there's enough history here. Never mind. I'm going to log into my own. I have some more history than she has. All right. So I have a lot of ads that you'll see here that are all like turned off. And I'll just explain for a minute. I've been running ads for a long time, but I just recently went through a process where I stopped running my ads and transferred it over to an agency to run them, and wanted to see if they would do better than I did myself. And it was kind of part of an experiment I was doing, and they didn't do very well, to be honest with you. So I just took my ads back. But there's a report here, and I'll go into. You can generate reports. I'll show you how I'll generate this one. So in my sponsored products, I'm going to look at search terms, and it's going to give me search term report for month to date. And I'll just do create report. So now it'll generate down here, and I can open. So what this gives me, and I'm not sure how long I've been running it, so it might be better for me to do it from when I was running things before I turned them over. So when you hit download, it'll open it up into Excel. And okay, so the information you get is really interesting. So here it shows the different portfolios that I'm running. It also will show you what you're targeting. So here I've got a keyword that says winner award. The search term that the customer searched for is Newbery Award winners.
Wow.
So my broad search, my keyword was broad, so it delivered for this. And it showed you how many times was this shown to people. In this case, it was 21. How many clicks did you get out of that? What's your click-through rate? So that's a really good click-through rate, actually. It shows the cost per click that you spent. It shows any sales that came out of it, and what is your average cost of sales. So what I will do on a weekly or a monthly basis, I will pull this report and I'll do something like this. I'll filter, and I want to look at average cost of sales. So I might say, let me sort by smallest to largest.
And is small is the best, right?
Small is the best. So if you pay, so here's an example. This book or this test here, sorry, the category. So in this case, I was advertising into the category children's coloring books, because you can also instead of saying give me a keyword, you can say I just want, anytime somebody searches in this category, I want to bid on that category. So in this circumstance, there's only one impression for this particular ASIN that they searched for, or that came up that they were reviewing, and I spent 5 cents, and I sold $5 worth of merchandise. So it's a very small cost for that sale. And then, so as you can see, you want those that are doing really well. So I think I mentioned in another group that this author, Matthew Paul Turner, he and I, for some reason, our books get sold together a lot. So I have him as a search term, and of 3,000 impressions, I got that many clicks, and then so the sales are there, and it shows what the ACOS is. So this is for a specific period in time. I think it was a week's period or a month period, but it shows you all the performance on your ads. So I would also be looking at things like let's look at the customer search terms, because you'll find new keywords. Like, for example, all right, I'm advertising for Labradoodle gifts. That's what they were doing. Caldecott winner books. I might not have been doing anything with that, but if I see that there's a lot of interest or a lot of people searching and finding my book very relevant, which means there's a high click-through rate, and a higher percentage of sales for that keyword, then I want to go back and I want to make sure, like, what is it that I was bidding on, and what is it that the customer was searching for, so that I can expand, if it makes sense. I can expand my keyword listing.
So you don't pay anything for impressions, only if they click on it.
That's absolutely correct. Yes. And a click-through rate, um, yeah. So there, and then I also will do this where I say, all right, show me the ones that have the largest impressions, number of impressions. So I would see, like, these are things people are searching, and I'm being shown for a lot. So in this particular period of time, baby books was like one of my top keywords as far as impressions go, and clicks. Um, what I had heard, and I'm not sure that this, I can verify this, but what they say is for every 1,000 impressions, 1 click is okay. If you do better than that, then you're doing good. So for 4,000 impressions, 4 clicks would have been good, but I got 13 clicks. So they're thinking that when they looked at my cover for whatever search term of baby books, they thought it was relative to what they were looking for, and they dug in further.
So
And
what
then,
is your ACOS and your?
yeah, so for this here in this time period, it's not that great. I spent $7, and I only sold $10 worth of books, so it's not that great in this time period. So what I do in this situation, so let's say the period was a month or so of time, then I might look at the cost. So in this case, the cost per click, I was bidding way too high on this keyword. I shouldn't be spending 58 cents per click. And the reason why it was coming out that way is I was experimenting with the Amazon feature where you can pay an additional percentage to appear on page 1. So it was like doubling or tripling my bid rate, and I didn't quite understand that that's what it was going to do. So there was a period of time where my bids were way too high when I see the cost per click. So these are like the types of things that I would look for. I also might say, let me see, like, what are the largest click-through rates, and is there anything I can learn by taking a look at click-through rate. So I have 1 impression on all of these. That's not as impressive, because there's only 1 impression, so there's not a lot of data to go by. But as you start to see impressions go up, and the click-through rate is higher, I want to look at these and see whether or not maybe Berenstein Bears is a good key phrase for me, but maybe I want to put it into the keyword search so that I can get more of a long tail keyword for Berenstein Bears. Here's children's books by age 6 to 8. So in this period, I had 152 impressions, which is not all that great, but a 3% click-through rate is really, really good. And the ACOS for it was only 8%. So I paid $2 for $29 in sales. So this is good for me. And I would want to monitor, but do I really want to pay 52 cents per click? Probably not. I want to try to see if I can scale that back a little bit. But the good news is, looking at this, if I bid 52 cents, the clicks that I get and the sales that I get are certainly worth the 52 cents if it continues to perform like that.
Right.
So do you see what I mean? There's a lot that you can dig into for the different information that you're going to collect through these reports. And when you see ASINs like this is this comes up when you do an automatic campaign with Amazon. So when we first launch your book, Misty, we'll want to put automatic campaigns on, and we'll have Amazon basically decide what terms are relevant for your book, and it'll we'll have an automatic or two, and then we'll have a couple of manual campaigns. Well, in the automatic campaigns, they'll put this, they'll just show you the ASIN that your book was shown on that product page. And so if I search for that ASIN, it's the Rainy Day Toddler Activity Book. So on this page, my book, sponsored products related to this item, my book was shown here and ended up having click-through. So it gives you a sense of, what are the types of things that are my book is being shown with, and should I be targeting this book like I did with some of the other author that was very highly relevant with my book. So, and that's how I found him, was through the Amazon automatic ad. It just kept coming up over and over again that my books were selling really well with his keywords or on his book. So I continue to advertise with that keyword as well. Has this been helpful, Misty?
Of course, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording so that we can determine next steps for your own book, Misty.
Okay.
Excuse me. And for those who are watching this recording, if you have additional questions, feel free to reach out or grab time on my calendar. You can get to me on thelittleLabradoodle.com/services, and there is a one-on-one coaching session that you can grab on my calendar, and you can schedule time just like Misty's doing now, and we will go through something like this for your books as well. All right. Let me see.